What is going on, guys? So, as you can tell from the video, I have here a stack of Carfaxes that I just printed out. So, we're gonna go through some of my cars and see the history on them. I've never actually, most of my cars I haven't looked at the history on. I just, if it had a clean title, I purchased it. I didn't really look at the Carfaxes for the most part. But before we get to this video, I want to say this is a talking video. There's not going to be much visuals, so if you want to put your phone down, work on something, do something else while you listen, by all means do that. But don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, that kind of good stuff. But you know, you can put your phone in your pocket, walk around, do something. That's what I like to do a lot. So figured I'd throw that disclaimer out there right now. But if you do want to watch, you will see my smiling face and some of the vehicles here. I recently did an update on all of my vehicles, so if you want to watch that video, it's not too far down. There's not all that many videos, but it's one of them. So let's start off with everyone's favorite, the 2JZ Camaro. Great car, been a definitely a staple on this channel, and probably one of my favorite cars. So it's got some of the most extensive history out of all of my cars. It's got a long history. So I cut out some of my VIN numbers, but honestly I don't think it matters, because it's kind of like seeing a license plate in public and then posting your car for sale and blocking the license plate. Why do people do that? But back to the car. So I am owner number 14, I believe. I may be 13, I think I'm 14. That's crazy. I'm probably number 13, but that is wild. 13 owners of this thing. 13 people have put their butt in the seat, and then I was the guy that pulled it out. That's it, that same seat. So this is a 1999. The last report was 223,000 miles, which is not accurate. It had like 300,000 miles when I got it. I don't know if you can... I mean, I have the gauge there, but I don't think you can see how many miles it has. It was never crashed, so that's good. Oh, so owner 1 through 11 had it for 19 years. 19 years, 10 months, and 223,000 miles. Owner number 1 only had it for till 2000. And then in 2002, it was purchased again in Ocala. And then that guy drove it from 60,000 miles until 2009, 175,000 miles. So this guy had this car a good amount of time. He lived in Ocala, or bought it in Ocala. It was registered in Kissimmee, Orlando, and then sold from Orlando. Then owner 3 had it for, you know, 179,000 miles to 189,000 miles. Didn't even have it for a year, 10,000 miles. Pretty solid. No mileage there. No mileage on owner 6. Owner 6 had it for a good amount of time. It looks like he had it till 2014. Owner 8 had it from 14 to 15. Started to creep up in the miles, 223,000. This is kind of interesting because Mad Hatter muffler and brakes, I've actually had exhaust work done there in 2017. I think I had exhaust work done there, so kind of interesting. Yeah, this guy had everybody work on it. Friggin' Meineke, Midas, Mad Hatter, Tire Kingdom. Owner 9 had it in Tampa in 2015. Then it was in Ocala again. Ocala, Dunellen, Florida, maybe. Then it was in Bradenton. That is me. And yeah, so I'm 19 to 21. And then 19, he had it for a little while. He daily drove it for a little while. Or owner 12 daily drove it for a while, I know that. But it was up in Ocala area when I bought it, so. Man, long history of this car. Long history. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. But I know when I bought this car, it was around 300,000 miles, so it did not get reported for a little while there, but it is crazy. 13 people owned this car. 13 people. That is wild. This car has had a long life. A lot of people enjoyed this thing when it was the 3.8 liter V6, and now I am enjoying it as a 3 liter straight six. This car right here, my 1995 Ford Mustang. This car also has a clean title. Owner 1 owned it for 5 years from, so let's do the same thing. Sit down and look at this one. So owner 1 bought it new in 1996. It looks like it has, interesting, I don't know what the NICB is, but in 96, 94 I guess the owner had it. 96 it was read at 3,000 miles, and then he owned it until 2001, and then it had a recall done for something, engine coolant fan circuit, and then owner 2 bought it from him at 116,000 miles. So man, that's just, it's wild to me to think about how somebody drove this V6 Mustang for 116,000 miles in like 5 years. That's wild. Owner 2, he did nothing but register this thing. I believe he was a mechanic from what I heard, and he just drove it and registered it. But it went from the 116,000 miles to where it's at right now, which is, I don't know if we can even see that. I think it's around 180,000. Yeah, 189,000. So he didn't drive it nearly as much as the first owner did. First owner put some miles on this thing, but as you can see, it was driven, registered, and it was last reported at 185,000 miles, so not too long ago. But clean title, no crashes, very interesting. I feel like I'm trying to sell it, but I'm not. So this car, much cleaner history than this car. All right, this is another thick one right here. This one we have to go into the door. Okay, so under this hairnet looking thing is my 2004 CTS-V. This one, 5.7 liter V8, gasoline, rear wheel drive. This car had about 5 owners, so pretty extensive. I am owner 5 of it, of course, so 4 owners before me. And this car had a pretty long history because it has about 160,000 miles on it. So let's see. So owner 1 bought it new in Palm Harbor, Florida, which is pretty close to where I bought it, which is interesting. And he bought it in 04, obviously, owned it until 06. Second owner bought it in Clearwater, which is where I worked for a long time. So this car was never too far away from where it was purchased, which is kind of funny. And then, you know, it spent a good amount of time bouncing around. It went to a Ford dealership a lot for service, which was interesting, from 2009 to 2011. Owner 3 bought it in 2012, drove it to where it had like 106,000 miles, it looks like. It went to Dimmitt Automotive Group at Clearwater. Owner 4, Ed Moore's Cadillac, Tampa. It was serviced there. And then owner 5 is me, 116,000 miles. I got the oil changed at Take 5 Oil in Tampa, 123,000 miles. Back in 2017 when I didn't even have a driveway, so couldn't really do my own oil back then, but not too bad. And and now it's registered in Bradenton. The last time was 2019, and I haven't touched the registration since, because why re-register it? But pretty interesting. Always cool to see the history on this car. It says the retail value is $16,000. Not the way it sits, but in the Carfax's mind. I bought this car in 2015, so 5 years ago. Does that make sense? Maybe I did buy the V1 back in 2015. Goodness, that seems like forever ago, but makes sense. Adds up. Okay, we got a couple more cars to go through. All right, now we came up into the driveway because there's three other cars I wanted to go over real quick. Next up on the list, we have my 2007 Chevrolet Tahoe right here. And you can see I need to, oh no. We'll put this stuff back here so you can see. Been in a huge dispute with the Florida Transit Authority people on that one, because they won't clear me of these tolls that I've paid for some reason. Oh my goodness, this is a mess. All right, I gotta figure this out. All right, next up we have the 07 Tahoe right here, and this car, again, 4 owners, so 4 or 5 owners is pretty normal, it seems like, for the cars I purchase. Let's just jump into it. So owner 1 bought it in North Carolina, Tarboro, North Carolina. He owned it until it was just at 100,000 miles, tossed it off to somebody else in Cofield, North Carolina, and then an accident was reported, but Mr. Carfax over here says it was minor on the passenger rear door, it looks like. Then it was in North Carolina still, and I believe it was repossessed at 170,000 miles. And then it was sold at auction to another guy in North Carolina who had it until it was at 195,000 miles. So 195,000 miles. And then another owner in North Carolina ended up sending it off to Florida, where I ended up buying it in 2017 and becoming owner number 4. And I've had a couple oil changes done at random places here and there because, you know, I often don't care to touch my oil because it's just easy to have somebody do it sometimes. I've had a few. I've had the most service history on this car, which is surprising. I've owned this car for a while. I've put probably 30,000 miles on it. Oh, I guess this is where it was owned. This history is kind of weird because it's owned by me here, but I bought it from, I don't know. This history is weird on the Tahoe, I'll be honest. The Tahoe was bought from a shady dealership. Super sketchy, but that's where it is. And the Tahoe, good car, runs and drives, 230-ish thousand miles on it, like most of my vehicles. Now let's get into this car. So this car, I still haven't legally registered yet. 1998 Subaru Outback. This car has also had 5 previous owners. I would probably be number 6, but hard to say what the dealership did when I bought it. We bought this for a challenge that we did and got it for 1,500 bucks. But it was originally in Pennsylvania. Then the first owner moved from Pennsylvania to Bradenton, and they owned it for 160,000 miles. They owned it, so they got their money's worth out of this car. From new till 2006, 160,000 miles on it. No registered oil changes or anything, but this was still, you know, 20 years ago, so they were doing a lot of that. Then 06 to 09, it gained another 12,000-ish miles, 15,000-ish miles. Still in Bradenton registered. Then at 204,000 miles, Owner number 4 acquired it. Still registered in Bradenton. Didn't make it too far. Then owner number 5 got it at 283,000 miles. Still registered in Florida in 2020 in Bradenton. So I probably am owner 5 in this situation, I think, actually. But pretty wild. This car has been around Bradenton for a long time. Left Pennsylvania in 98-ish, and she's lived in Bradenton until now. So okay, this car. Now, when I was doing this, I was thinking the 240 would probably have the sketchiest past, because it's a 240 and all of them have some pretty interesting past. This car last reported at 125,000 miles. It doesn't say how many owners, which is interesting, but it does show some history. I don't know if this was one owner and then me, maybe. I mean, it's hard to say, but it was bought new in 1991 in Nanuet, New York, which is a pretty wealthy area. And then it was inspected New York City area. 98, it was 80,000 miles in New York. 99, 80,000 miles in Connecticut. 119,000 miles, it made it down to Florida. Altamonte Springs, Florida. And Florida is where it presided for a long time. Orlando, Palm Bay, Melbourne, until 2012 when the world ended and it just basically disappeared. So I believe this is a true, you know, one owner before me 240, which is a little wild because it doesn't say anything else about owners. It does say accident was reported in 04, but I haven't found anything that would show accident. It doesn't say anything about the previous paint color, nothing. All these things that I would like to know does not tell me. But it is pretty wild that it was, if it was just a one owner 240, this thing is pretty wild, and that one owner got his money's worth out of this thing. That's for sure. But guys, I hope you enjoyed that little trip down car memory lane. Not really my memories, but somebody's car memories. Now I am the proud owner of all of these junk buckets of joy. I had a lot of fun looking into this, so I wanted to share it with you guys. But that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Keep it saucy. I'll see you next time.